in my domain, got the whole crowd screaming out our name. It's a blowout, it's a hurricane, it's over before you know it. While you shaking, we're a dynasty in the making. We're the royalty, now we're breaking down the enemy. Move over for the soldiers. Take a swing, I can take a hit. If we die, it's fine, we live for this. It's all for this. We're gonna stand on top with our hands in the sky. Gonna raise our cup to the stadium lights. For the glory, for the glory. We celebrate with the city tonight. Hear the hometown cheer, it's the ultimate high. For the glory, we do it for the glory.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we get ready for race 25 of our 6th season of the NNSCRA Hersheys Cup Series. This is what we would basically call the penultimate race for the regular season, as next week we will be determining the 16 drivers that will battle in this season's playoffs at M&M's Super Speedway. We're not only going to have one race for you guys here today, but we're going to have two races here at the Duels of DuQuoin for the Hersheys Cup Series drivers. 30 laps in each duel, 21 drivers in each duel race, and if it's anything like what we saw earlier on this weekend in the Tax Layer Truck Series race, this race is definitely going to play its own factor into who's going to make the playoffs and who very well may not, and it's certainly going to set us up for a lot of different scenarios heading into next week's regular season finale at the M&M's Super Speedway. J Srigley lines up on the pole position here for this first duel race. Comes in this race 23rd in the point stands. He has 6 top 5s, but has not gone to victory lane yet. He could, if he goes to victory lane here today, maybe put himself in position to get into the playoffs. We're going to have to wait and see. Alongside of him is J Arndt in the 05. J Arndt comes into this race 12th in the point standings, and he already has a win. So right now, I believe he is locked into the playoffs, provided he can stay up there in the standings. You got a couple of drivers there in row 2 that have a lot of stories swirling them. Dylan Young, he comes into this race currently situated in the 33rd position in points. He's a 2-time winner this season, but unless he gets in the top 30 in points, those 2 wins won't mean a thing towards the playoff system. So let's go down and get the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
Command given. Dylan Young comes into this race only 6 points back from 30th in the standings, so we'll see what he can do here today. And alongside of him, J Shelton, who went to victory lane a couple of weeks ago. She comes into this race situated in the 40th position in points, so not likely that even with a second win that she'd be able to get up in the top 30 in points, but even more importantly, she's in one of those positions right now in the standings where if the season were to end now, she would not have a Hersheys Cup Series charter heading into Season 7, so certainly trying to get out of the cellar of the point standings would be the 0-2. Let's give you your point standings, your top 10 at least, coming into this race, presented by Golden Corral. Joshua Collard, after his second win of the season last week at Hillside, is the points leader. Jordan Anderson is second. Zachary Fitzwater third. Fourth, Tim Walsh. Fifth, Brooke Allan. Charles Sandfer sixth. Brandon Gonzales is seventh. Daniel Voyles in eighth. Trent Dunham in ninth. And Sean Galligan completes the top 10. We're going to give you your playoff scenarios and whatnot here during the course of not only this duel, but the second duel coming up. But it's time for that Dodge Charger pace car to make the left-hand turn to pit road. And it's time to go dirt track racing here. Expect these restarts to be very, very interesting, as these drivers will force it 4 wide, sometimes 5 wide. And we'll see if they do that here on this start. Green flag in the air. Duel number 1 at DuQuoin is green. Let's roll. And wasting no time at the front. Dylan Young, Cody Smart. Woo! 12 car looked very squirrely there in the middle. And they are 4 wide further back there. I think that was Brandon Gonzales and J Richardson. Srigley will get away with the lead. Second place under contest 3 wide. Dylan Young, Cody Smart, and J Arndt. And our we going to get the first lap completed under green? Yes, we are. John Arndt on the outside line is going to get second place. Cody Smart now trying to swing around his teammate Dylan Young for third. Here comes Blaine Keys up the inside for that spot. 3 wide now for third place is Srigley with the lead. Arndt in second. 3 wide for third between a couple of Fords and a Chevy Camaro. Here comes the other Ford out of Young Motorsports. Trouble in the back! Shelton just got turned, I think. I think she got turned. I thought I saw her sideways. Is the caution out? Yes, it is. First caution of the day. And I'm pretty sure it was the 02 of Shelton that I saw get turned there in the entrance of turn 3. Leaders took the yellow flag, so they'll have to pick up the pace car. And there is Jessica Shelton, who had good starting track position in 4th place. And she is the reason for this first yellow. I don't know who it was that turned her. I didn't get a quick look. I only saw the 02 sideways. Don't see anybody up here with any right front damage, but someone is to blame. And I don't think these drivers will be making pit stops here either. We've got 25 laps in this race. I'm sorry, 30 laps in this race. And I think these drivers can make it the full distance on 1 tank of fuel. So as the caution is out here for the first time today at DuQuoin, let's take a look and see what happened. All right, we're going back here to the center of the back straightaway to kind of see how this all formulated. The car currently behind Shelton is rookie Elijah Gilbert in the 98, so we're going to have to see if it was him that hooked the 02 here in the center of 3 and 4. Gilbert has JT Bryant to his inside. Let's see when they go into this corner. Maybe the 22 slides up. No. 22 is clear of the 98 at this point. Now Gilbert's got Chris Dodd to his inside, as well as Johnny Gardner. Shelton's way up the track there. And right there you can see as the 98 drifts up, he continues to slide up the racetrack. And then Chris Dodd also slides up the track, gets into Gilbert, and Gilbert was already right next to Shelton's left rear quarter panel. And that's what finished the job. Shelton just in a terrible position there. Chris Dodd got tight, gets up into Gilbert, who was already tight, and then he gets up into Shelton. And somehow everybody was able to get down low enough to be able to avoid the 02. Normally when a car goes up and hits the wall, they drift back down to traffic. So everybody did a good job avoiding Shelton. Now she's got some rear end damage obviously, but you don't have to have the prettiest car to have it win at a dirt track. So we'll have to see if they're able to continue or not. I'd be a little concerned about the back of that car being pushed up into the wheel wells of the left and right rear, but we'll have to see if they can get that car repaired, get it back out there. As we mentioned, Shelton trying to get out of the cellar of the point stands. That's basically her main goal right now. And she brings out the first caution of the day here at DuQuoin. We haven't gotten the 1-to-go signal yet. We will probably get it when they hit the stripe this next time. So let's take this opportunity under pacing to give you what the playoff drivers coming into this race currently situated would be. Brooke Allen right now would obviously be locked into the playoffs with her 3 wins, as well as multi-time winners Joshua Collard, Alex Drayton, Benny Watson. Those drivers right now would find themselves locked into the playoffs with 2 wins or more. Drivers with 1 win that currently would hold playoff spots are Zachary Fitzwater, Tim Walsh, Charles Sandfer, Brandon Gonzales, Daniel Voyles, Trent Dunham, Dallas McIntosh, J Arndt, RJ Reynolds, Kev Shearer, Anthony McCurry, and right now the final playoff position is held by Benjamin Miles, who is 22nd in the point standings with a victory. Drivers that have a win that would not currently find themselves in playoff positions include Dylan Poteet. He's 29th in points. He's in danger of falling out of the top 30. L Alvarise is right now outside the top 30, 32nd in points coming to this race. And as we mentioned before, Dylan Young, he's a 2-time winner, but he's 33rd in the points, so his win would not count, or his 2 wins would not count towards a playoff position at this current point in time. So basically for Benjamin Miles, he needs to hope one of 3 things do not happen. That Dylan Poteet doesn't go to victory lane, that L Alvarise doesn't go to victory lane, and that Dylan Young isn't able to get himself into the top 30 in the point standings with a good run here today. Of course, Benjamin Miles could quell all that if he picks up his 2nd win of the season and We'll see if he can do that. I believe he's in Duel 2 as the green flag is back in the air. And Dylan Poteet and L Alvarise are both also in the second duel as well. So basically the one driver we would focus on in this one would be the two of Dylan Young, as the battle is on for the lead. J Arndt to the inside. J Arndt proved this season that he's very good at off-road racing, taking the checkered flag at the Baja 1000 Rally Racetrack, a track that brought about a little bit of everything. Some mountain racing, some desert racing, some regular racing, and he takes the top position. J Arndt has never in his Hersheys Cup Series career had a multi-win season. Arndt was a former winner going back, I believe it was to season 4, when he took his first checkered flag at Kansas Speedway. Last year he went to victory lane at Riki Raceway, and this season he went to victory lane, as we mentioned, at Baja Rally, but he has never cracked 2 wins in a single season. Maybe that could take place here today. Look who's behind him. Talk about a desperate driver. Blaine Keys comes into this race dead last in the point standings. I mean, it's almost seemingly that he's going to really need a miracle to get himself out of the cellar of the points to be able to keep a charter for next season. A lot of rumors swirling that he will maybe be retiring at the end of this season, but obviously would love to be able to go out with a victory. I was going to go back and look and see who our former winners at DuQuoin are. I'm trying to remember when DuQuoin made its debut on the schedule, and I seem to feel it was back in season 4. It might have been season 5. Actually, it might have been season 3. Nope, it was season 4. Season 4 was the debut race of the Hersheys Cup Series. The inaugural winner was Emmanuel Hartnett. Hartnett, I do not believe, is in this field. I think we're going to see him in Duel 2. So we'll see if he can become a repeat winner. That was back, as I said, in season 4. And then last season was when we ran the first dual races in the Hersheys Cup Series here at DuQuoin. Cole Baker and Garrett Sidner were the 2 winners of that event. As a matter of fact, it was that win for Garrett Sidner that put him into the playoffs, and eventually Garrett was in the Final 4 to compete for the championship last season. Cole Baker is the only one of those 2 drivers that I just mentioned that is still in the Hersheys Cup Series, and he will be in duel number 2 coming up. So J Arndt out in front. We're not even yet to the halfway point in this race. Blaine Keys there in second. Joseph Srigley currently is in third, with Cody Smart in fourth, and there's the driver that a lot of people are looking at, the 2 of Dylan Young. Now, we mentioned that he comes into this race 6 points out of the top 30 in the standings. Drivers that are ahead of him in points that he basically needs to beat here today would include L Alvarise, Levi McIntyre, and J Baskinger. Now, right now, Baskinger, I believe, is running near the tail end of the field. He's in 19th place. So Dylan Young, at this point in time, with where he's running, has made up 14 points on the driver that came into this race 30th in the standings. But he can certainly do with some insurance. He needs drivers like McIntyre, Alvarise, and maybe even Dylan Poteet and K Mathews in the second duel to not have a good race, so that way he can move back into the top 30 in the points. Might have a battle for third place brewing here between Joseph Srigley and Cody Smart. Good run for the Young Motorsports cars. They are currently 4th, 5th, and 6th, with Smart in 4th, Young in 5th, and J Bryant in that 6th position. Battle for the lead getting a little bit closer between J Arndt and Blaine Keys. Keys got a nice center through the corner run in 3 and 4. Wasn't able to quite follow it up with the exit he wanted off turn 4, but he's right there within striking distance. Blaine Keys not only looking for his first win of the season, but also trying to pick up what would be his first win since, I believe, season 3. I think it's season 3, or was it season 4? Season 4. Matter of fact, next week we will be coming up on the 2-year anniversary of Blaine Key's last win when he went to victory lane at M&M Super Speedway. Got pushed there by eventual champion and teammate Trent Dunham. Blaine Keys was able to make the playoffs that year with a shot clock cheese win at M&M Super Speedway. So in terms of winless streak, coming into this race, Blaine Keys is on a 71 race winless streak. Next week would be number 72. He also, if he could go to victory lane here today, would complete the sweep for Sega Motorsports this season with all of their drivers going to victory lane. Trent Dunham winning a few weeks ago at Rockingham, and of course Dallas McIntosh opening up the season in the Daytona 500 with his victory. Pardon the pause, just getting a drink of water. My throat was starting to get very dry with this talking. And it looked like we have another driver that coming in this race could be confirmed in the playoffs, Daniel Voyles. He's now cracked the top 10. He's up to 9th place as we're watching this battle for what would be 6th between a couple of blue and white cars, a Ford and a Toyota. Richardson on the inside, Bryant on the outside. Boy, JT drives it deep there into the corner, didn't he? And it cost him on exit. Well, I thought it did. Richardson trying to clear, and now he does. Richardson moves to 6th. Here comes J Gardner for 7th. And there's the car I was talking about, Daniel Voyles in the 26. I mean, at this point, we're able to basically determine with the number of races remaining, 2 in total, if you count today's duels as one total race, of drivers that at this point would be locked into the playoffs. We already mentioned Brooke Allen, Joshua Collard, Benny Watson, Alex Drayton. Those are givens that they're locked into the playoffs. But I think we can look at some of these one-time winners as well and say, yeah, they're going to make the playoffs too, like Fitzwater, Walsh, Sandfer, Gonzales, Voyles, Dunham, McIntosh, J Arndt. I think where the big battle's going to be if we end up having Dylan Young make it to the top 30 and maybe another 2-time winner here this season, or maybe a 1-time winner that's running well in points, or excuse me, drivers like RJ Reynolds, Kev Shear, Anthony McCurry, and Benjamin Miles, as to whether they're going to make it or not. I mean, right now, Reynolds, Shear, and McCurry look like they're really in a good spot, but if you've got Dylan Young making it back into the top 30 in the points and Benjamin Miles knocked out, then you've got Reynolds, Shear, and McCurry, who all are separated by 4 points, battling for that final spot in the playoffs. I mean, this season is not over yet. And the caution flags are not over yet. Yellow flag is out for the second time here today. It's going to come out with about 8 laps to go. It'll be 7 to go when the leader hits the stripe here, and we will line them up and do it again, and we could have a shootout here to finish out this first dual race at DuQuoin. Probably the last guy that wanted to see that was J Arndt. First guy that wanted to see that might have been that 42 of Blaine Keys. Daniel Gilbert with some left side damage. I don't know if he necessarily was the yellow flag or not, but he's the only other driver besides Shelton that has damage, so that could very well have been the case. So, as we're under caution for the second time here today and get ready for what could be a very exciting finish here in our first duel, let's go back and take a look at what brought out this yellow flag. Yeah, a couple of Camaros getting together here in a battle for position. Daniel Gilbert in the 4, Shane Lake in the 55. You see off the corner here, I think Shane Lake thought that the 4 had gotten him for position, was going to tuck up behind him, and was not quite clear. Hooks him in the left rear quarter panel. Daniel Gilbert then goes down, hits the inside wall, and that's what shoots his race car around. And with oncoming traffic, NNSCRA officials have no choice but to throw the yellow flag, even though he was kind of down out of the way of everybody, but they had to throw the caution nonetheless. Well, it's certainly going to give us an exciting finish, no doubt about that. And we're going to have to see if J Arndt's going to be able to hold him off here, trying to look for his second win of the season. Second win of the season and fourth win of his career it would be. And if you speculate him being able to close the deal here at DuQuoin, you look at the 4 tracks that he would have won in his career at. You got 1.5 miles at Kansas, where his first win came at. Second win at the Super Speedway of Riki. And then, of course, winning at the, I don't know, what do you call it, an endurance road course rally track earlier on this season at Baja Rally, and now maybe able to win at a dirt track. That would leave him with, what, short track, I think, left to win at? I guess short track and a road course if you don't count Baja Rally as a road course, which it kind of is. I mean, they turn both left and right, but it's not like your normal traditional road course, I guess is what we would call it. He would need to win a traditional road course. So let's line him up. Let's give you as good a rundown as we can here, as we haven't yet gotten the 1 to green signal. J Arndt will restart as the leader. Blaine Keys will be behind him in second. Joseph Srigley's in third. Cody Smart in fourth. The second through fourth place all looking for their first win of the season. Dylan Young, they're in fifth. Sixth is James Richardson. Seventh is J Gardner. Eighth, Daniel Voyles. Ninth is J Bryant. He kind of faded back there on that last run. And 10th place is second in the standings, Jordan Anderson. Chris Dodd right now in 11th. Elijah Gilbert's in 12th. Dallas McIntosh 13th. 14th is Kyle Keith. 15th, Shane Lake. 16th is J Baskinger. 17th, Brady Gonzales. 18th is the points leader, Joshua Collard. 19th is Zachary Fitzwater. 20th, Jessica Shelton. 21st is Daniel Gilbert. That is the completion of your field. Nobody out of the race, even though we have worked 2 cautions in this duel. Now, Blaine Keys, we already mentioned, is way down in the point standings. Joseph Srigley is 23rd in points. Cody Smart 26th in points. I don't know if they went to victory lane, if they'd be able to put themselves in the picture for a playoff position or not. A lot, I think, would probably depend on what they did next week as well at M&M's. Of course, Dylan Young trying to get himself into the top 30 in points. Right now, he is 5th place. He is ahead of at least one of the drivers he needs to be ahead of to get into the top 30 in points, that being J Baskinger. He's also ahead of James Richardson. So right now, things looking good for Dylan Young. It really depends on some of the competitors in Duel 2, like Kyle Mathews, Dylan Poteet, Levi McIntyre, Lee, and Alvarise, as to where Dylan Young will be situated in points heading into next week at M&M's. But here we go. It will be 3 laps to go, a 3-lap shootout here at DuQuoin. J Arndt going to lead him down for the green flag, and he was ready for it. Keys was also ready for it, but I think J Arndt was a little bit more prepared. But he didn't shake Blaine Keys. Keys is right there on the back bumper. Making moves further back there in the top 10. We got a battle for third on our hands between Cody Smart and Joseph Srigley, and now here's a battle for the lead. Keys peeks out of line, can't get there. Dylan Young saying, yes, Cody, yes, teammate. Go to the inside, get me an opportunity to get some more spots here before this checkered flag waves. Whoa! Blaine Keys almost in the left rear quarter panel of J Arndt there off turn 2. Smart moves to third. Young now looking for fourth. It'll be the white flag this time. Keys is only going to have 2 more shots, and he's got to at least get himself to the back bumper of that Reddit Chevrolet if he's going to have a shot. Maybe set him up here in 1 and 2 and then make the move in 3 and 4. Let's see. Arndt drifts up the corner. Keys tries to get the run off the corner. Got a little loose there. And I don't think he's going to be able to get to J Arndt's back bumper. Through 3 and 4. J Arndt's just got to be smooth. Just got to hit his marks. Cody Smart trying to get second from Blaine Keys. And that'll be all she wrote. J Arndt, for the first time in his career, has a multi-win season. Second win of the year comes here at DuQuoin. And he becomes the second Flying Aces driver this season to have 2 wins. Benny Watson did it a couple of weeks ago at Daytona. And if he wasn't locked in before, he certainly is locked in now. J Arndt, with his second win of the season, he will be in the playoffs this year for the Hersheys Cup Series. And like we mentioned, it's the first time in his career that he has had a multi-win season. Second win of the year, 4th win of his Hersheys Cup Series career. How about that? J Arndt came into this race 12th in the point standings after he had a good run last week at Hillside, brought it home in the 4th position. Blaine Keys will have to settle for 2nd. That's his best finish of the year, but still chasing that first victory. He'll now head into M&M's with a 72-race winless streak. Cody Smart brings it home in 3rd. Dylan Young in 4th place. Cody Smart helping his teammate out there to be able to pick up a spot in that closing stages. We'll have to see if that 4th place is enough for Dylan Young to get back in the top 30 in points, depending on what happens in the second duel. J Srigley slipped back from 3rd to 5th. That's where he'll finish. J Gardner gets 6th. Jordan Anderson in 7th. J Bryant in 8th. Daniel Voyles 9th. And James Richardson completed the top 10. Some notables down at the bottom of the grid. Brandon Gonzales 17th. Joshua Collard 18th. Zachary Fitzwater 19th. But the good news for them is they could afford a poor performance here late in the season because of Collard being 1st in points, Fitzwater being 3rd, and Gonzales being 7th. They're pretty much going to make the playoffs anyway, so they were able to afford a poor run like this. I think Dallas McIntosh as well, 11th in points, finishing 14th. He could afford a poor performance as well. So I think they're basically locked into the playoffs anyway, and so a poor performance here isn't really going to hinder them in making it into this season's postseason. But J Arndt with the victory. Now we're going to have to focus on our second duel. We'll see about the drivers that are battling around Dylan Young, and also we might have another surprise winner to get into the playoffs here in our upcoming duel, so don't go away. We still got more racing here at DuQuoin coming up next. So as we prepare for the command to fire the engines up here for our second duel race, Cole Baker lines up on the pole position alongside of 3-time winner Brooke Allen. It's kind of interesting. You've got 2 former winners at this track lining up 1st and 3rd, and both are looking for their first win of the season. Cole Baker took the first duel race of this event last year in Season 5, and Emmanuel Hartnett won the inaugural DuQuoin race back in Season 4. So we'll see if either one of them can get their second career victories at this racetrack. And we'll have to also keep an eye on the scenario with Dylan Young. As we mentioned, he was able to run better than J Baskinger in the first duel race. Baskinger came in this race 30th in points. Drivers that Dylan Young needs to have poor performances in this duel race include Dylan Poteet, K Mathews, Levi McIntyre, and L Alvarise. So we'll see how they do here in this one. Mathews is going to be starting pretty well up there in the 4th position. As let's get the command real quick.
Drivers, start your engines!
Mathews trying to complete the sweep for Retro Racing Enterprises. Both his teammates have gone to victory lane already this season. Charles Sandfer back at Thornton, and Jessica Shelton, of course, a few weeks ago. Some other drivers that we'll be watching here in this field as well would include drivers like R.J. Reynolds, Kev Shearer, and Anthony McCurry. Now, why would we be watching them? Because if indeed Dylan Young, after this race, is able to get into the top 30 in points, those 3 that came into this race separated by 4 points would probably be the ones that would battle for the final transfer spot into the playoffs. And as such, we would also keep an eye on here the 25 of Benjamin Miles, because if Dylan Young is in the playoffs right now, being in the top 30 in points, then Benjamin Miles would be the driver that would be displaced. So Miles would try and counter that, obviously, today by maybe getting his second win of the season. Also, Dylan Poteet's in this field, and Poteet is outside of the playoffs as well. It comes into this race 29th in points and has been on a slide for a good number of weeks. Here we go. 30 laps for our second dual race. Green flags out. Let's roll. Cole Baker, of course, the announcement that he is leaving Seth Cole Baker Motorsports next year and going to Fitzwater Australia Racing, but would love to close out his final season with the team with a victory. Back here, Brooke Allan way up the racetrack. Got pushed into the wall there, looked like by Kyle Mathews as Keith Batson moves into second. Battles on for third. Oh my goodness gracious. Making me nervous the way they drive into the corners here. Whoa, 4 wide. Sandfer slipped up. Tim Walsh was more than happy to fill the inside line. As now it's a double wide for third place between Miles and Hartnett. Now 3 wide for what will be fourth. Whoa! Almost had a wreck back here. Trent Dunham nearly got hooked by, I think that was Brooke Allan in the 3. Keep it together some way, somehow. Look at this hornet's nest back here. Alex Drayton is in the middle of this. Contact there between Trent Dunham and Kyle Mathews, left side of your screen. The 3 happiest people on track right now, I think, are first, second, third, because they're ahead of all this. Baker, Batson, and Miles. Brooke Allan, 3-time winner. She's not getting a lot of love on track right now, getting kicked right up there to the high side. Meanwhile, looks like the top 5 have gotten single file. Battle going on here for fourth between Hartnett and Sandfer. Looks like that's going to settle out. Now it's double wide for sixth. Tim Walsh, Kyle Mathews, Trent Dunham in that mix. Looks like that may settle with Walsh moving into that 6th position. Now Mathews with the crossover into turn 1. Let's look up towards the front, see if we got any battle brewing, and we do. The battle for the lead is hot and heavy between Baker and Batson. Cole Baker comes into this race currently situated in the 37th position in points. He is just outside of that cut line for a driver that would lose their charter heading into next season. Keith Batson, on the other hand, has had a number of good races in the last couple of weeks, including almost picking up his second career win back at Rockingham, North Carolina, when he and Trent Dunham, Joseph Srigley were in that tooth and nail battle in the closing stages. Batson, who was down a few weeks ago in one of those spots where he would lose his charter going to next season, has managed to climb his way out of there. He is now 35th in points. And these top 2 were having their brewing battle for the lead. Benjamin Miles is starting to close in there in the 25. So don't count out that Camaro. Of course, Benjamin Miles, I'm certain that his team made him well aware that Dylan Young had a good performance in his dual race, finishing 4th. So Miles, realizing he could at this point in the live point standings be out of the playoffs, trying to get up there, maybe get his second win of the season. Manuel Hartnett, who won the debut race here at DuQuoin back in season 4, right now in 4th place, but may not have that spot for long. Here comes the 15 of Tim Walsh trying to get the spot. He's going to get alongside him going down the back straightaway. That 15 car looks good. Charles Sandfer right there as well. Walsh and Sandfer basically come into this race knowing they're going to make the playoffs. They're high enough in the point standings with a win. So they're, I think, going for broke to try and both get their second wins of the season to get themselves as many bonus points as possible when the points are reformatted. Boy, Walsh got loose there in the entry of the corner. Here comes Levi McIntyre, moving by Kyle Mathews. That would be for 7th. And he's one of the drivers that Dylan Young needs to have a poor performance here today to be able to get back up into the top 30 in the point standings. He, along with Kyle Mathews and Dylan Poteet, one driver that he needed to have a poor performance that we haven't seen at the front yet, and that's L Alvarise in the 08. Let's see where Alvarise is currently at. He is in this field. There he is, kind of by himself, and scored in dead last. So, not the performance he was looking for. We mentioned about Kev Shearer, RJ Reynolds, and Anthony McCurry potentially battling for the final playoff spot if Dylan Young does make the top 30. Well, there's Shearer. Then not too far back there is Reynolds. And right there to his inside is McCurry. So they're all clumped up together. Of course, RJ Reynolds, his first career win coming at our last dirt track stop at Springfield Miles. So you would think he would be having a better performance than this here today, but not all dirt tracks are the same. Just because they're covered with dirt doesn't mean they all handle exactly the same way. Benny Watson went to victory lane a couple of weeks ago for the second time in his career at Daytona. He's back here. As is Sean Galligan. There were a couple of drivers that were running really well in points, and if they went to victory lane here today, they could very well have shaken up the playoff standings and maybe locked themselves up a spot in the playoffs. Galligan was one of those drivers. Jordan Anderson, J.T. Bryant, and Kyle Keith were the other ones. We obviously saw that Keith, Bryant, and Anderson did not win the first dual race. Galligan right now, the only driver with no wins that has a shot with a win of making it into the playoffs here in this second dual race. But you see he's back here towards the tail end of this field. Battle for fourth place continuing on. It's actually for fifth place between Hartnett, Sandfer, and now Levi McIntyre is in this battle. Back up towards the front, Cole Baker still holding on to the top spot. He's got about maybe 2 to 3 car lengths in hand. Back to Keith Batson. Gap last time was about 4/10, this time about 3/10. So Batson did close up the gap this time. We had 2 cautions in our first dual race. So far, we're about halfway through our second dual race and yet to see the yellow wave. So I think these drivers may have to start concentrating on a long run car. And you got to wonder who had their car set up for the long run. I think one driver could very well have is Tim Walsh. He was fighting his way through the field early, and now he has caught the top trio. That 15 car looks really fast. He may have the fastest car on track right now. And that's exactly what the scoring monitor says. 30.367, fastest lap laid down by Tim Walsh. Benjamin Miles had the second fastest, followed by McLeod, Batson, and McIntyre. Race leader Cole Baker has only the 8th fastest lap of the day. So that tells me that the 3 cars behind him are faster than he is right now, and we're about to see if that's the case. Batson took a peek there between 1 and 2 to the inside of Cole Baker. Not able to make the move just yet. You know, I was just looking. It would be kind of interesting if Batson won this race, because if Batson wins this race, then our 2 race winners this season would be drivers who got their first career Hershey's Cup Series win at Kansas. J Arndt won the first dual race, and he, of course, got his first career Hershey's Cup Series win at Kansas back in Season 4. Keith Batson got his first career Hershey's Cup Series win last year at Kansas Speedway. This is not Kansas Speedway, though, so that'd be really interesting if something like that happened. Here comes Tim Walsh. My goodness. That is the fastest car on the track right there, I guarantee you. He's now making his way by Benjamin Miles for what would be the 3rd position. We mentioned with J Arndt back in the first duel that victory was his 2nd of the season. It's the first time that he ever had a multi-win season. Well, Tim Walsh is actually trying to do the same thing, trying to get his first career multi-win season. He's only got 2 career wins in Hershey's Cup Series competition. Of course, the first one coming back at Texas in Season 2, and his 2nd earlier on this year at the road course of Sonoma. Never won 2 races in a single season. Let's see what Tim can do. He's got to get by Batson, and then we'll have to try to set his sights on Cole Baker. We've seen, obviously, with the scoring telemetry and the way he's made his way up towards the front, he's got the fastest car on track. Question is, though, can he put it where he wants it to make passes? Speaking of making passes, Keith Batson says, all right, I see that 15 back there. I got to start battling for this race lead. He's able to get to Baker's left rear on the entrance through to the center, but then it seems like he tightens up off the corner and cannot keep alongside of Baker Chevrolet. Believe it or not, Seth Cole Baker Motorsports coming to this race only has one victory this year, and that was Anthony McCurry back at Phoenix. And it looks like Anthony McCurry may be the lone representative for the team in the playoffs, unless something happens here in the upcoming 2 weeks. Battle for second. Tim Walch continues to march. Trying to get the spot from Keith Batson. Benjamin Miles riding there in 4th place with Levi McIntyre rather, and 5th starting to close in. Walsh not able to complete the pass this time, but I don't think this battle is over, not only for second, but maybe even for the race lead. The one good thing for Tim Walsh right now, Brooke Allen is nowhere to be seen. He's had 2 second-place finishes in the last few weeks, and both those second-place finishes have been to Brooke Allen. Walsh going to try again for second place down here into 3 and 4. Try and slide up off the corner here. Get a little bit of side draft off the 39 to be able to keep alongside. Can't do it. As this battle for second continues on, this is allowing Cole Baker to just hit his marks, not have to look as much in the mirror as out the windshield. But it ain't over yet. We've still got 7 laps to go when leader Baker hits the line. Cole Baker's last win of his career came here 1 year ago. We would love to be able to, on the 1-year anniversary of his last win, pick up what I think would be his, I want to say it'd be his 4th career Hershey's Cup Series victory. I might be wrong, but I think it would be his 4th. Comes Walsh again. Walsh is really good on the entrance of turn 3, but he just can't match Batson off the exit of 4. And here comes Levi McIntyre. I didn't notice he got around Benjamin Miles for 4th place, and now he's closing in. And McIntyre running well is not a thing that Dylan Young wanted to see. Dylan Young came into this race behind Levi McIntyre in the points, and Dylan Young finished his dual race in 4th place. That's where McIntyre is running right now. So McIntyre at this point in time, I think, would be denying Dylan Young an opportunity to get into the top 30 in points with his top 5 run in Duel 1. Here comes McIntyre. McIntyre 4th fastest lap on the day, but certainly looks like he's one of those drivers that has his car set up for the long run. He's been able to move into the top 5 and now has the top 4 right within his sights. Who's going to make the move here, though? Is it going to be Batson? Is it going to be Walsh? Is it going to be McIntyre? Walsh going to try now down into turn 1. He's been trying in turn 3 and 4 mostly. Now trying 1 and 2, and I think this time he may have him. Set up Keith Batson perfectly, and now McIntyre is going to go low as Batson's going to clear Walsh. McIntyre, I think, thought the 15 was going to lose momentum, went low to be able to capitalize. Not going to work just yet. Whoa! What a fishtail for Tim Walsh there off turn 4. He goes up and blocks McIntyre. Now here comes McIntyre for 3rd. And Batson got a nice run there through turn 2. Closed up to the back bumper of Cole Baker. I thought he might try and make a move there on the back straightaway as the battle for 3rd continues. McIntyre and Walsh. McIntyre gets back to the throttle very nicely there through the center of the corner. I think he's going to clear for the spot. Yes, he is. McIntyre's going to move to 3rd. With 2 laps to go, does he have enough time, though, to get by Batson and Baker? Here comes Batson looking for a spot on Baker. Can't do it. Here comes McIntyre with a run. Little contact there between the two of them. That may have just killed all 3 of these drivers' momentum to try and catch Cole Baker. I don't know We're going to find out here. White flag displayed. One more lap to go. Baker, Batson, McIntyre, Walch. Who's going to take this checkered? Battle is on for second again between McIntyre and Batson. McIntyre, I think, is going to clear. He's going to have to drive it deep down here into 3 if he's going to try and get alongside Cole Baker, though. Baker's got about 2.5 car lengths in hand. McIntyre's not close enough to make a charge. Through turns 3 and 4. One season after his last Hershey's Cup Series victory, Cole Baker's going back to victory lane here at DuQuoin. And Batson hung on for second. McIntyre will have to settle for third. That was a good battle there at the end for second place, but as good as it was, it hindered all of them from being able to challenge Cole Baker, which I don't think Baker had an issue with at all. Well, Levi McIntyre may be Benjamin Miles' best friend right now, because with his third place run, he may have kept Dylan Young at bay from getting to the top 30 in points, which means that right now Benjamin Miles, I think, would still hold on to the final playoff position. Cole Baker came into this race 37th in the points, so I don't know if this win would get him anywhere close enough to be up in the top 30 in the standings and be in a playoff position, but obviously a struggling season looks a little bit better when you have a crooked letter in the, or crooked number rather, in the win column. So Baker becomes the second Seth Cole Baker Motorsports car to go to victory lane this season. That'll give him some good momentum heading to his new team next year with Fitzwater Australia Racing. Keith Batson will have to settle for second place. That's his second place in the last, I think, 5 weeks, as he finished runner-up to Trent Dunham back at Rockingham. Levi McIntyre will finish in third. Tim Walsh looked like he had the car to beat, but that car kind of seemed to get to a status quo position with about 10 laps to go. Benjamin Miles will finish in 5th, so keeps his potential playoff hopes alive. Charles Sandfer was 6th, Alex Drayton 7th, Kat Batson in 8th, Kyle Mathews 9th, and 10th was Trent Dunham. Mentioned that Dylan Young needed a number of drivers to have poor performances here today, and the only one that really did was L Alvarise, finishing dead last in 21st, but McIntyre was 3rd, Mathews was 9th, Poteet was 12th, so I don't know if Dylan Young's 4th place finish was enough to get in the top 30 in points or not. It may be a Hail Mary next week at M&M's for that team, but nonetheless, hope you guys enjoyed today's 2 races from DuQuoin. J Arndt takes race number 1. Cole Baker takes race number 2. If you enjoyed these races, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We've shown you full feature results. These are your rookie points and your overall points heading into next week. Next week, Tax Layer Truck Series determine the 8 drivers that will battle for that championship. Pizza Deck Series determines the 12 drivers that will battle for that championship. And Hershey's Cup Series determines the 16 drivers that will battle for that championship. It is our championship determining race weekend at the Super Speedway of M&M's. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be down to the wire for a lot of our playoff scenarios, and even when the checker flag waves, we may not know officially who are going to be those playoff contenders. But anyway, till then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching Production of the NCRA Offline Racing as Best. We'll see you guys next week for our final regular season weekend at M&M's.